Now that we've conducted a general overview of muscle fibers, let's imagine that we take a muscle tissue sample from the biceps brachii. Within this tissue sample, we'd be able to notice that different types of muscle fibers exist within this muscle. The darker colored component here represents type 1 muscle fibers, and the lighter colored component represents type 2 muscle fibers. And in this image, we're not showing a distinction between type 2A and type 2B muscle fibers. So now that we have a better understanding of how a given muscle can contain a variety of muscle fiber types, let's do a deeper dive into the makeup of these muscle fibers. Next up, we have our type 2 muscle fibers. And keep in mind that there are two subtypes, type 2A and type 2B. And as we indicated on our overview chart as it relates to appearance, our type 2A muscle fibers are wider in width or diameter when compared to our type 1 muscle fibers. And as it relates to their physical appearance, our type 2A muscle fibers are pinkish or pink in color. Now, in comparison to our type 1 muscle fibers, we have a moderate number of capillaries, along with a moderate amount of myoglobin and a moderate amount of mitochondria. But we have a large amount of the enzyme myosin ATPase. And it's this large amount of myosin ATPase that causes the muscle fibers to contract very rapidly. And because of their rapid contractile speed, they also fatigue very quickly. And so again, the question we must address or ask is, how do these muscle fibers acquire their fuel, or how do they go about generating energy or ATP? These muscle fibers are unique because they can generate ATP through aerobic cellular respiration, but they can also generate energy through anaerobic cellular respiration. Essentially, we're saying that these muscles can generate energy either with or without the presence of oxygen. Now, let's take a look at our type 2B muscle fibers, also referred to sometimes as type 2X muscle fibers. These muscle fibers are wider in width in comparison to our type 1 muscle fibers, but in terms of physical appearance, they are pinkish white, or what we might indicate as a lighter pink color than our type 2A muscle fibers. Now, as we investigate the content of these muscle fibers, we'll find that we have a lower number of capillaries, a lower number of myoglobin and mitochondria when compared to our other muscle fiber types. But in terms of the amount of myosin ATPase, we have an abundant amount in type 2B muscle fibers. And as we talked about a moment ago, the increased amount of myosin ATPase is the reasoning we have such fast contractile speeds. And these fast contractile speeds cause the muscle fibers to fatigue pretty quickly. Now, in terms of fuel, or how these muscle fibers generate energy, they do so solely through anaerobic cellular respiration pathways. In other words, they generate energy through methods that assist them in doing so without the presence of oxygen.